Okay, I just want to do a shout out. Uh, Amaranth is looking good, but not as good. Yesterday she was looking really good. Mira's still looking pretty good. Uh, Serene Wild's looking good today. I don't think I saw her yesterday. Berta Kiss is on today. She's looking really good. Now there's this one called Cinderella TV, and she's cooking. And Luminizer is starting soon, and then Sagitarina Official. She does a lot of workouts. I don't know if it's a single person or if it's there's one channel where they have like a bunch of different fitness girls working out on a beach. I think this is the one. That's looking good. False Symmetry's on, and she's looking good. She's looking good today. But what's really beautiful about her is the stuff she makes in Minecraft. I it's a sad thing because I know I will never be as talented or as gifted as she is. It's just scary. And I think there's another one. I don't know if she's still with the Hermitcraft, but they had a new girl added onto the Hermitcraft, and hers is the same way. The stuff she makes is just unbelievable. And I can't think of her name. So, anyways, let's get going. Yeah, I want to do that shout out. Now I'll see if I can actually get my stream. Yep, it's live. Okay, mic check, mic check. Now let's see if you guys could actually hear me while I was talking. Oh, I gotta turn this down. Mic check. Okay, it's working. Okay, now, I'm at least no worse than I was yesterday. Yesterday was better than the day before, but if I'm remembering this right, there was one day a couple days ago. I actually had a pretty good day. I really had a pretty good day. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I think we will go all the way back to number one. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back out. Hang on a sec. I'm gonna just something's kind of acting funny, so I'm opening up everything on my tablet. I'm gonna close it. Either that or I was gonna reboot. Because I did that the other day. Now the stream looked okay, so I'm not complaining. But it's weird. Again, I'm not used to doing this. Usually, before my foot broke, if I was streaming, I was upstairs. I was using a computer where you can see everything that's open. You can make sure everything isn't running. And but I got done streaming, and as soon as I got done, I could hear like talking. And I think it was like when I turned the speaker back up, because like right now I don't have it. I got it down at it's like a 10-year-old Amazon Bluetooth speaker, and it still works. And there's some issues. It acts up a little bit, but for the most part, it works pretty good. And it's already money spent. You're not going to get that much for it anyways, but it still works. It's still useful. Well, as soon as I turned it up, I could hear this talking, and it was streaming news. 'Cause see, that's what I do. Like if I come in here to play, this is another thing. Usually upstairs I had a two old TVs, one that I could play on, one that I could watch TV on. Well, I use this tablet for it. And what happened was, as soon as I turned the volume up on the speaker, I could hear talking. Well, that, depending on how everything's working, could end up screwing up my stream because it might be bandwidth that I'm not able to fucking upload shit with. Okay, let's go into game settings. Adventure mode, yes. We're going to go to Act 1, and difficulty is hard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set difficulty at expert, and I just want to be honest, because what's going to happen is, if my character dies, I am going to be done streaming Diablo today for the most part. And if I start having some issues, I might be done streaming Diablo for today. And then what I'm going to do is the plan, and if you can't make it back, I keep getting these things after the fact, and I swear to God, if you are coming in, I am not seeing anybody in the chat. And I'm not, and I don't mean that, oh, well, I missed it and I saw it later. No. From the minute I start to the minute I finish, I'm not seeing anything. And like, I can go and type something in. I can type and it's there. I just typed in hey, and I'm seeing it, but I'm not seeing anything. And it used to be like when somebody would come in, they'd be like, hey, so-and-so joined the chat. You know, I'm not seeing any of that. But it seems like almost, not every day, but almost every day they tell me that I was found by like 2, 3, 4 people. And maybe they're there for 30 seconds, but I swear to God, I am not seeing any of you. And again, I'm not on good equipment. I've got crappy equipment. I'm doing the best I can with what I've got. Oh, and yesterday, for anybody that wasn't here or doesn't remember, I feel your pain. Yesterday, I started talking about Beyond Skinwalker, and I started talking about government buying a property, talk of a underground government base and tunnels, and like it had been raining. Like I did an entire stream of Diablo, and it was raining. It was dim out, but peaceful. And then I put on Minecraft, and as soon as I started talking about the underground base and the government and all that stuff, we got like a hellacious storm here. I mean, it was loud. I don't think you could hear it over the mic, but it was outside, and it was loud enough I could notice it, and it was just banging away. And I told them, because the nice thing is there's a lot of stuff that this mic does not pick up, and I do kind of like that. Sometimes it doesn't pick up my voice. I think it was either made for kids or it was made for somebody with a much, much smaller head than I have. But I couldn't hear, you guys probably couldn't hear it, but it was noticeable, and I'm just like, well, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. And it was almost immediately after I ended the stream, it got peaceful again. It just went back. It wasn't raining as hard. It was raining more like it did when I was playing Diablo. And then so like a little bit went by. I watched some TV. Excuse me. And when I got back on, I just basically said, hey, if anybody or anything, any non-human or human intelligence doesn't want me talking about this, then by all means, help me win the lottery last night. I go, help me win the lottery tonight. And I won't talk about it for the rest of the year unless I forget. And I go, if you don't want me to forget, then maybe you should fucking do something and heal me up from what happened so I would remember it every day. And but that was the thing I did. And then so I had a pretty good stream then, and I talked about, but again, I get these things afterwards. So I can talk about whatever I want. I did not win the lottery last night. And I gotta say, just for anybody or anything out there, I just want to be completely honest. If you allow me to win the lottery, or hey, have some widow when they die just anonymously leave me their fucking fortune. I will spend a lot of time talking about the money and how it's saving my life, and I will be talking about good things that that money's doing for me. I won't talk about UFOs as much. And like if you could do some encouragement, like occasionally have me win something, and then I'll get the hint that, hey, clearly something doesn't want me talking about this stuff. But that just busted me up. Okay, what I'm gonna do here, because again, I think I'm at least doing as good as I did yesterday, but hang on. I wanted to come into skills too. Okay, crippling wave, way of the 100 fist. Okay, I'll try this one. Okay, blinding flash, breath of heaven, serenity. I might go back to blinding flash. Sweeping wind. Oh, this one's gonna be good. This one can spawn a lightning tornado that electrocutes enemies. I'm gonna keep the Mystic Ally. Mantra of Retribution. Mantra of Healing. Enemies take extra damage. Okay. Okay, these are unlocked and I never assigned anything. This might be why I was struggling. My dumbass didn't come in here and add on some bonuses that I got. Every third hit from a spirit's generate increased damage. Nope. We'll come back on that. Nope. Yeah, that one we want. When receiving fatal damage, you instead restore 35%. It's not a chance. It sounds like it's a done deal. 35% life and 35 spirit, and are immune to damage and controlling impairing effects for 2 seconds. Yes.
I need spirit.
Okay, now... Each spirit generator used increases the damage of your other spirit. No. God, if this one, if you get a resistance from a single elemental, you then get resistance to all elements. That I think I might put back on. I might put on. Oh, each enemy within 12 yards increases your damage by 4% up to, yeah, we'll do that one for now. But if I notice that I've got a lot of elemental bonuses, I will put that back.
I don't have enough spirit. Not enough spirit.
Look, just over there. I never imagined such a creature.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and talk about Bob Lazar, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of give broad strokes in this one. I'm really not doing this to try and get you to come back or whatever. But I watched.
I need spirit.
I watched some stuff on it, and I think what I will do is I will take a break in between games. And what I'll do is I will refresh my memory of I think I'm doing as good as yesterday, and yesterday I wasn't real sure of my memory. Some of the stuff, this is the thing for you
Not
younger
enough
people.
Spirit.
You don't know, but when you talk about some of this UFO stuff, and I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. You might be aware of this, you might not. But there was somebody talking. They were talking about how most of the. I'm either Generation X or I'm Generation Z. I can't remember. But it's like the new generation, the ones that are young now. And I think it was a comedian. Don't quote me on this. And it might have been a non-professional comedian, but I saw it was either YouTube Shorts or TikToks or maybe even a YouTube video. But they were talking about how a lot of these, I guess they'd be millennials. A lot of these millennials, they grew up, they didn't have to read a map because they had a thing on their phone that would tell them where they were. So they said that, these people do not know how to read a map. And it was pointed out that they didn't know how to take notes. And and it was a long list, and they basically said, so if these people ever try to take over, what we'll do is we'll just put everything on paper, and we'll get around by maps, and we'll just put them down without even breaking a sweat, But so I'm literally not trying to talk down to anybody. I'm not even trying to joke around. But the thing is, those of you, and there was another comedian, they talked about this phenomenon. They go, these kids today, there's like 50 or 100 channels. This was a few years ago. What I'm talking about now might have been before satellite TVs came out. And this might have been a comedian that was talking like before Fox News, before 24-hour news. But it was still, you had cable TV, you had at least 50 channels, And they said, they don't understand what it was like growing up in our era where you didn't have the internet. And if the president was talking, your TV night was screwed. Because back then you had 3 networks, you had PBS. If you lived in a good area, and not a great area, but just a good area, a reasonable area, what you'd have is at least one NBC affiliate you could pull in over the antenna. You had an ABC and a CBS. I want to say that this was before, I'm talking like before internet, but like at the time the comedian was talking, you had NBC, ABC, sometimes you had more than one, and this is over the air. This isn't even like with an antenna. But you had ABC, NBC, CBS. You had a Fox News. You had PBS, and there were others, you know. And if you had cable, you were doing even better. Because when we were kids, if the president was on, or if they were doing some kind of a, you know, some other thing where the government was taking the airwaves, they were pretty much on everything. You were preempted. That was it. And there was no internet, so you know you were fucked until they reran everything at the end of the season, because you know they weren't showing that again. You know, whatever you missed, you missed. And football was the same way. Football and baseball. Like there were times where they'd go into overtime or whatever, and what would happen is you'd end up missing part of your show, at least until the game was over. And again, there was no internet where you could go stream it the next day. You were pretty much screwed. You know, like if it was some cliffhanger, you didn't get to see who shot JR at the next episode until they reran it at the end of the season. You were just, it was a done deal, and you didn't have a thing where you know, at the end of the season they'd put it out on DVD. You didn't have a thing where they would put it out on VHS. You know, that was pretty much it. And but to be fair though, you didn't have a phone or a PlayStation or anything like that to distract you from watching your TV. You know, you were, you know, it was on. It was the only thing that was on. You were generally watching it. And hey, hang on one second. I'm gonna clean the litter boxes later, but I gotta either cover something up or spray it. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm back. Hey, I literally gotta say that stuff that you see advertised poop, that shit actually works. That doesn't work too bad.
Our meddling daughter would do well to leave us be. You will pay for her weakness.
His folly to disturb us.
But you know, and again, I'm not trying to rag on anybody in the slightest. You know, it is what it is. I will say though, most of you growing up, not everybody, you know, there's still bad shit that happens. There's still disappointments in life, but there's a lot of things that are way better than what they were when I was a kid. There really is.
Thanks to you,
And
my family can now rest, free from the curse they brought upon themselves.
but like when you go back and you look at pretty much any of the UFO stories before the internet, it was a different world. In some ways it was better, and in some ways it was worse. And I'll give you examples. This is the kind of stuff I'm going to do talking up leading to it. I'm going to kind of prep the work, and then I will probably watch a couple short clips. And some of it I'm just going to have to go from by memory, but like, and I'm not trying to go political on this, but I just want to, it's something I can talk about intelligently. It should make sense to you. The stuff that's going on in the world right now, there is a guy, I can't think of his name. He's the newest, unless there was another one today. He's the newest lawsuit for Fox News. And don't faint. Please don't faint. If the reporting is accurate on it, he appears to be an actual peaceful protester who was present on January 6th. This was a guy that was there, and apparently they got him on tape where he is going up to law enforcement and saying, hey, can I help you? Would you like me? And he goes, I can try and I'm with them. I can try and ask these people to back off away from your barricades and give you some space. So he wasn't just there peacefully protesting. He was actually trying to assist law enforcement. And I think it's pretty sad. It's kind of like when you had I can't think of the guy's name. He's not in office. I don't think he even ran for office, but he was a representative from Illinois, and he was the other Republican along with Liz Cheney that was on the January, and I can't think of his name. I know it, I just can't think of it right now. But he was on that January 6th committee with Liz Cheney, and there's a lot of people that were talking about how brave they were. Well, I'm sorry. Being a patriot and telling the truth should not be an act of courage. Like when I was working for GM and I was bringing up quality issues, I never really considered that an act of courage. I still don't think it's an act of courage. But when I look at what happened to me in the world we live in, I guess maybe it is. You know, when you've got people who, you know, you had 2 poll workers that, those nice black ladies. I can't think of that. I'm just shit with names right now. But they basically were trying to help people get voted. You know, they were trying to help people vote, and they got attacked by every nut job in the city. And, you know, and again, that should not be an act of courage. That should just be being a decent person. And you look at this guy that just filed the lawsuit against Fox News, they had to move out of their house. I think he's got a family, him and his family, or him and his wife. They had to move out of their house because they were getting death threats and all that. Because the video came out where he was just, people were flipping out over what the cops were doing, arresting people. And he's on camera going, hey, look, you know, leave them alone. They're just doing their job. These people are violent, you know. Well, Tucker Carlson, this is what's being reported. I don't know. I don't watch Fox News. But Tucker Carlson was on telling people that this guy was a secret agent working for the FBI or the government, and he was there trying to get conservatives arrested. And they did it over and over and over again. And he's finally suing because of the damage that was done to him. And if you go look at these people that are out there, and again, I'm not trying to make this political. I'm not, because I don't consider mental illness political. I don't consider treason political. And that's what you're talking about here. But there are people out there, like. And again, it's not the fringe. These were advisors to the president. You had, I want to be honest. I didn't mean to talk about this. I didn't prepare to talk about this. So I'm being very general. But there was somebody, and I don't know if it was Rudy Giuliani or just that Sidney Powell, but there was one of them that was accusing, like, the ghost of Hugo Chavez of rigging elections or something like that. I'm not making this up. That was actually something that they were spreading around. You had this one woman, now she was not an advisor to the president, but this is somebody Donald Trump tapped. And he brought her out to talk about COVID. And she was like, I might be wrong, but I think she was into voodoo. and she was talking about how you had demon sperm infesting people. I might be exaggerating a little bit. I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just going from memory. But she was talking about demon sperm being inside people and making them crazy, making them sick. And these are people that the president, the Republican president, was like touting as somebody to fucking admire and listen to. You had elected members of Congress talking about Jewish space lasers and other stuff. And I want to be honest with you, we've always had people that were this fucking stupid. We literally have. And this is going to tie into Bob Lazar and the UFO thing. Just bear with me on this, okay? I promise. I'm going to link it up. But we've always had people this fucking batshit crazy. We have. Okay, we can go back. But we've always had them. You know, you can go back to when Bill Clinton was president, and I want to be completely honest here, because I was on like two sides of this. When you originally had those women come forward, and I think there was just one or two at first. But when they came forward and said, oh, you know, Mr. President, he did this to me and he did that to me, I got to be completely honest. My first instinct was, well, you know, that sounds bad. You know, I didn't know if it was true or not, but I'm just like, you know, hey, that sounds bad. We should investigate it. And you know, they investigated it and they found nothing. It isn't like that recent lawsuit with Donald Trump where that woman accused him of raping her in a fucking fitting room, and the jury came back and didn't find him guilty of rape, but they did find him guilty of like sexual assault or something like that. They didn't even get that on Bill Clinton. You know, it was a done deal. And it really, in my opinion, and I've read some books on this, and people who were in the know put the stuff out. But my understanding is and some of it came out during or after Hillary's election, you know, like decades later. But my understanding is there were these women, at least the newer ones. The original one, I don't know. But these women, like Paula Jones and some of the others, they knew he was married. They knew who he was. They knew he had a wife. They knew, and they might not have known her. Well, one of them did, because she was the first lady's hairdresser. But they knew who he was. They knew who his wife was. They knew he was married. And so it wasn't like some asshole at the bar making shit up and they didn't know. He was a public figure. They knew. They fucking knew. And they fucked him. And in every case, when it was investigated, and this is what law enforcement, they do all the time. They investigate stuff, they look it over, and then what they do is they come to a conclusion. Well, one, they have to look at, well, is there any evidence? And if there's no supporting evidence, you know, there's usually not a lot they can do anyway. But, and you know, what we had the most investigated case of sexual assault in the United States. If every case of sexual assault was investigated with the zeal that Bill Clinton was, you'd probably have like about a 90% conviction rate of rape in the military. But this was like thoroughly investigated. And what they found was there was just no credible evidence. Like with Paula Jones, they talked to family, they talked to friends, they talked to coworkers, and you know, there had been accusations made. Well, he was doing this. Here's the dates and all that. Well, everybody they talked to that they believed, everybody that was credible, what they found was they all said, well, she never really talked about it. We didn't know she was having an affair, but they go, man, she seemed really happy, you know. Whatever Bill Clinton was doing, he seemed to be getting the job done, you know. And that's the way it was. Like there was an early one and she did not come forward. She got outed. Well, I don't know if it was family, friends, or I think it was family or friends, because I think she was old enough she wasn't really working that much anymore. And they were basically told by the people they found credible, they go, look, if she did anything with Bill Clinton, you got to understand the guy she shacked up with, he's abusive. He's not a good guy. And they go, he fucking hates. This was in a book I read, so you know, if they were lying to me, I'm lying to you. But I'm reporting what I remember reading. But they effectively told the FBI that, you know, if it's true, they think it was consensual because again, they never heard her complain. She never seemed, even to this day, she didn't really have a bad thing about the president, that kind of stuff. But what happened was, they said the guy she shacked up with might actually beat her to death. Like when it came out that she'd fucked Bill Clinton, they said, they go, we would actually be afraid for her. Like if she didn't come out and say, yes, he sexually assaulted me, they said we would actually be afraid for her. That, she would be getting, maybe even killed by this guy. Okay, gotta go through the wall. But that's what they had back then, and you gotta understand, that was being, she had a couple lawyers that quit, Paula Jones did, and because they had gotten a deal. And they didn't even think they were going to get the deal. They honestly thought that when they were offered the deal, because they had a shitload of money and they were keeping the lawsuit artificially alive. And these guys knew it. They were referred to by the people in the know as the Three Elves. And if I remember right, and I might be wrong, it was Ann Coulter. It's that guy that helped Trump get elected, or that girl that helped Trump get elected, but it was Ann Coulter, Kellyanne Conway, and it's a blonde that is still on Fox News, I think. I might be wrong, but I think they were the ones that were listed in the book as the Three Elves. Well, they were funneling all this money from Republican donors into the lawsuit, and it was basically keeping the lawsuit alive. And when they got the deal, and the way it was explained, it was a better deal than they ever thought they were going to get. They advised her to take it. She refused because the Three Elves told her, because see, they didn't really care what she got. They wanted to keep the lawsuit open on the president. And it's exactly like what you saw with the Benghazi hearings on Hillary. It's exactly what you're seeing with Hunter Biden now. And they literally got to do something to crack down on this because this is wrong. I'm sorry. And the president and people around him can't say this, but I go, we got a guy that served his country, Hunter Biden. He volunteered, he went over, and I really don't know what he was involved. His brother went over there and came back, and I don't even know that he was into anything really horrible, but the fact is he came back damaged. He came back addicted to drugs, and you've got these people, and a lot of them are like me. They did not serve, and again, if they were bringing up true stuff, I wouldn't care. But they are making stuff up, And it's bad enough when they do it to like Bill Clinton or when they do it to Hillary or others. But when they're doing it to a veteran who has not been elected or appointed to any office, all he did was volunteer to risk his life for his country. I find that just disgusting. You know, and what cracked me up is I got shit for speaking the truth about this Chris Kyle guy, sniper.
And now I wonder,
you know, in a
cursed
chat
by my
room by
once
these
beloved
MAGA
king,
turds, by these
evil gnaws at my
proto-MAGA
bones,
people.
and I cannot risk
when I was
putting
in
my
Indiana.
beloved Tristram
I was
in
just telling the
danger,
truth.
should
It's
I
like,
fail
hey,
to
look,
contain
you
that
know,
which tears
this
at me.
guy's a piece of
I
shit.
must venture down into the labyrinth to die alone.
He did that. Yeah, he did. And then he came home and he fucking lied about Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura lost job offers. And I go, if you want to sit there and be so fucking mad about his fucking service, well, then I go, you better start getting mad about Jesse Ventura's. Because I go, Jesse Ventura served with honor and distinction, and he didn't come home and fucking make up lies about anybody to sell a book. I go, he didn't have to fucking lie to anybody to get movie gigs or nothing. And I go, this guy, I go, he came back, and I go, that first lie where he lied about the medals he got, or where he lied about his confirmed kills or his body count or whatever the fuck it is. And he did all of this. I go, that first lie he told about his service, because, you know, I don't know about lying like that. I don't know about putting it in a book, but I know if he put a medal on that he didn't earn, he could be court-martialed for it. And there's a name for it. It's called stolen honor. Well, guess what? That's stolen honor, and I think I'm right, but even not morally, even if I'm wrong, morally it should be right. When he sits there and makes a claim that he earned medals that he never earned, I think he might have been put up for them, but he never was awarded them. These were medals he did not earn.
Not enough spirit.
And I'm sorry, but when you are sitting there and saying you earned these medals, that's stolen valor. I'm sorry, it's absolutely stolen valor. At least it should be. And if you're sitting there and you're lying about, oh, well, here's my confirmed kills. Well, no, confirmed, that's another stolen valor. And he did this shit all the time. And then, you know, I'm seriously, I'm going to get there, but I got off on a rant on this. But they're doing this to Hunter Biden. Well, here's the thing. You had these same nut jobs back in the day. And I mean, this was the one, I think the book was called Clinton Cash. And this is something I will go on over and over again because I think it's important. I think we need to basically keep it in the mind. But there was this book called Clinton Cash or something like that. And it was somebody that was, you know, I don't know. I don't think the guy ever ran for office, but he was clearly either in the Republican camp or just trying to make money off it. And, you know, if you want to make money off of stupid people, if you want to make money off of gullible people, I'm not going to get that upset about it. But, like, again, he's making shit up. And what he did is he wrote this book, and there was all these accusations of what the Clintons were doing. And I don't know if it was both Clintons or just Hillary, but it came out, it was an attack piece, kind of like that 20,000 Mules or something like that. It was an attack piece. It was just a group of fucking lies. And they put it out. Well, shit, it became a bestseller. This guy was going all around the news. Everybody was talking about it when they couldn't get him on. And then on MSNBC, if I remember right, it was Andrea Mitchell brought the guy on. It was like a couple weeks. It was a week or two after the guy's book came out. And she brought him on and she goes, hey, we got you on here. And she goes, me and my team have really looked at this. And she goes, we've looked at it. It was for the whole time the book had been out. And they might have even had an advanced copy of it. But she goes, we looked through this, and she goes, we can't find any evidence of even one of your claims in here. She goes, could you explain to us your evidence on this? And this is pretty much what killed this guy. He as quickly as he came, he was gone almost as, not quite, but almost as quick. What happened was he goes, oh, well, I don't have any proof of this, but imagine if the FBI investigated this. And Rudy Giuliani was doing this. They brought, it was and he's not, I don't think he's a bad guy, but he's not as honorable and trustworthy as some of the people tried to make him out. But he was like the speaker of one of the House legislators, I believe. He was the head of one of the House legislators that Rudy Giuliani and their group had gone in and tried to peddle their lies to get the elections overturned. And when he was in front of the January 6th committee, one of the legislators asked him, they go, well, didn't it come out that they had didn't it come out where they, you or someone had made the comment that they seemed to have a lot of theories but no proof? And he goes, that was Rudy Giuliani, one of the lawyers. And this is like, if you don't follow it, I'll let you in. A lot of these lawyers that were involved in that, they broke ethical rules that lawyers have to follow. And if you follow the sovereign citizen movement, this is where they get into problems because they don't like these lawyers. Well, the thing is, the lawyers they get, if they actually did what the sovereign citizens wanted them to do in court, they could lose their law license for it. So they won't do it. And we're seeing it now with a lot of the lawyers around Trump. They went in and did stuff that, wasn't ethical, might not have even been legal, and they're being hit with Trump and one of his lawyers. They got hit with like $1 million in sanctions and fines and stuff. And they got hit with that. And some of the lawyers, and she might, after getting nailed with that, she might lose her law license. She might not be able to practice law anymore. And when you look at the Clinton cash thing, and then you look at Rudy Giuliani, you can see, okay, that was a building block. If that guy would not, and again, there might not have been legally anything you could do, because when you are dealing with public figures, the libel laws are a little different. It's a little harder to prove. But if that guy had been punished, if they'd have been able, and I'm not entirely sure they could have, but if he would have been punished, maybe Rudy wouldn't have been as willing to do it. If it would have been clear, but see, that guy got away with it, so Rudy and the others, they thought they were going to get away with it.
The gods strike through me.
It's absolutely a thing.
I don't have enough spirit.
There we go. But we've always had these nut jobs there. But see, you go back to before the internet. You go back before, one group of conspiracy theorists, in this case the GOP, if eco-terrorists had their own fucking 24-hour news thing like Fox News, eco-terrorists would be a lot more dangerous than what they are. But for like 20 years or more, the right-wing propaganda machine has had Fox News to lie about stuff. And you don't have to take my word for it. There were some Republican radio guys. One of them's from here in my state in Wisconsin. They basically made the comment, and this was when Trump either had just gotten the nomination or he was coming to power, and they said, oh God, for like 10, 20 years, Fox News has been lying to people, and we went along with it. We didn't say nothing. We went along with it. But he goes, for like 20 years now, they've been lying to people, and they've been telling the sheep on, the sheep that watch it, that, hey, you know, there's just nobody that you can't trust mainstream news. You can't. He goes, there are literally no referees. There's nobody, and Trump came in and took it over, but he goes, there is nobody that can talk to the base and warn them about Trump and his lies. You know, it's just gone. And these were Republicans. These were professional Republicans that did radio broadcasts. And they were talking about, but see, you go back to the days of Bill Clinton. This is why I'm bringing it in for you. You had these people that, and it's not any more crazy than what you got now. It's not any more crazy than the Jewish space lasers. It's not any more crazy than Benghazi. It's not any more crazy than Chris Kyle being a fucking hero and somebody you should fucking worship. You know, like, he put it in his book, and I guarantee you there's people out there that are dumb enough to believe it. He put it in his book that he was out pumping gas and some scumbags came up and tried to jack his car, and he spun around and quick drawed and just gunned them both down, and then he just waited for the cops to show up, and the cops got there and they were gonna arrest him, and he gave them a business card with a phone number on it, and they called it, and the person on the other end of the phone said, oh my God, you pulled over American hero Chris Kyle, the deadliest fucking sniper in the Marine Corps, you know. You must let him go. And the cops, they went up to Chris Kyle and they said, oh my God, you just take off. We'll just take care of this body for you. No mess, no fuss, you know. And it's like, and this is the shit they put in there, and it's like, well, one, it probably didn't happen. More than likely, if a couple people had come up and tried to carjack him, he would have been killed. And the fact is, if the cops had showed up, more than likely he would have put into handcuffs, he would have been taken in, or at least he'd have been detained. They would have taken down all his information, but more than likely they would take him in. They would investigate it, and somebody higher up than was like, well, yeah, okay, you got the tape, you got this, you got that. Yeah, it looks like it was self-defense. Now you can let him go. But this is the shit they put out there. But they had people this fucking crazy and stupid back then. But the thing is, you didn't have the internet. You didn't have a 24-hour news network just pumping this shit in to people's heads. And
I'm returning to town.
You know, you just didn't have it. And
well done.
But they had that with Bill Clinton, where they had the list of people that died under Clinton. And I would have to go look it up, but I want to say at one point, and this might not even be inclusive, but at one point I want to say there was like 20 people. And some of them died in prison of a heart attack. And you know, but they did, the Clinton crime family, you know, they're doing it with Biden now too, the Biden crime family. And I don't really know, but you know, they seem fucking crazy. And I did this yesterday. I was talking about that one guy who claimed, well, yeah, there was this underground base, and when I got down there, the fucking aliens tried to kill me, and a special forces guy, and you know, and that sounds nuts to me. That literally sounds fucking nuts to me. But the thing is, now when you've got senators saying, well, yeah, you know, so-and-so came in and told us this, and we've got other intelligence people coming forward and credibly collaborating it, and they were saying in there that, you know, one of them basically said that, yeah, there have been people that have been killed over this. You know, there's people that died so this could remain a secret. That is what they are getting in Congress from stuff that's leaking out of the committee, you know. And so I as crazy as that guy sounded, I don't know. I think you got to take another look at it. I think you got to keep an open mind, even though it sounded batshit crazy. And what happened was, they didn't have the internet, so what they did was it went around on the religious network. the 800 Club or whatever. It was these religious shows. They would basically sell videotapes of it. You know, you send us $20.99 and we'll send you volume 1 of the Clinton crime family. If they'd have had the internet back then, if they would have had a 24-hour news network like Fox News, like InfoWars or some of these other ones, this stuff would have went around a lot more. It would have been a lot more dangerous, where it was basically kept to, you know, people that had a job and could afford a VCR, people that were religious nuts and didn't have anything better to do on Sunday mornings, and so on and so forth. You know, but that was the thing, and so this sort of goes in with just to set that stage for you. And this is the thing with the UFO communities. Okay.
I've dug up some new things.
Let me make sure. Yeah.
For you to take a look at.
But when you look at UFOs, it's kind of the same thing, where you had these nut jobs. Well, back then, this stuff did not go viral. Even the stuff that wasn't nuts. You know, you had Betty and Barney Hill. These were people that got abducted, and there's a lot of stuff now that we look back in the long view, makes that sound pretty credible. But he was, I think, a postal worker. I think she was a homemaker, and they both allegedly got kidnapped driving home by aliens, and they ended up on board. And you know, and I firmly believe that this is the only way you're going to get. If something like this happens to Neil deGrasse Tyson, then I think, regardless of the evidence, I think you would get him to admit that maybe UFOs are real. Like if they take him out of his car and go up there and start doing experiments, if they basically take him up and start using his asshole to create some new fucking experiments, I honestly think that he might actually believe this shit. You know, where, you know, you could probably give this guy DNA. You could probably give him like a fucking recovered spacecraft. You know, you could, because and I don't completely understand this, but they were talking to somebody. It might have been that Avi Loeb, and they were talking about, like, well, there's some stuff you find and it's like it's titanium. Well, here's the thing. You can say, oh, well, that clearly could have been made here. Well, the problem is, if stuff is made, even if it's stuff we know how to make, the claim is that they have found stuff that has a different isotope ratio. And they're saying it's because it's made on another planet. And they go, we don't know how to mess with that. Like, you know, this stuff, if you have titanium, I don't know what it is. So this is not right. I want to be clear. If you want to be an asshole, you can go edit this video and cut out the part that I qualified it with. And just go, well, yeah, Casey's saying it's titanium. Isotope 156 is what you find on Earth, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, you know, if you have titanium that is made here on Earth, it'll have a certain isotope ratio. And if it's made on another planet, it'll have a much different, at least that's what some people are saying. I don't know. I literally don't know. Oh, we gotta go to level 2. Let's go, baby, to infinity and beyond. But you know, that's what they said, you know, that there's this stuff. Well, you could give him that, and he'd just be like, oh, clearly somebody, you know, he'd have an excuse. You know, he really would. But, you know, I honestly think if they yank him out of his car and they go up there and they use his personal asshole to create some new fucking test to run on humans, then he might be a little more willing to come forward and go, oh yeah, I've been wrong all these years. I apologize. Ooh, two-handed sword, which I'll never use. Because I can't kung fu fight with a two-hand sword. But yeah, but you know, and that's the thing, you know, these people would be out there and they could get it out a little bit. You know, they could get it out a little bit. We'll see the government, and you know, and again, I don't know. I suspect, and it sounds like Congress is starting to too. Congress thinks they've been lied to. There is a journalist that's been following these UFO committee hearings. And he said, he goes, what I'm getting from the people inside is that Congress is pretty sure they're being lied to, and they're not happy about it. And, you know, but the thing is, back then, if the government wanted to lie about something, well, there was no internet. There was no 24-hour news. There was no Twitter. You know, like, if something happened today, like, you know, I'm being completely like me. And again, it's not getting out to a lot of people, but I can put up videos and I can talk about what happened to me when I was working. You know, I can talk about the horrible shit. Well, without the internet, you know, I think I've gotten some of that out. I think it's gotten out to, you know, a couple hundred, maybe even a couple thousand people over the years. And I look at it this way, hey, look, I'm not getting any better. They more or less probably killed me. So the more people I can get it out to, you know, hey, maybe if enough people see it, maybe if enough voices are raised, maybe somebody will get something done, and at least it won't happen to the next person. You know, maybe not, but you know, the way I look at it, I can't work. It doesn't seem to be getting any better. You know, it ain't hurting me. You know, but maybe in the right circumstance, if enough people see it, maybe something gets done. Maybe the people that were fucking around, maybe at least they can't do it anymore. You know, maybe some of these people that were fucking around, maybe they don't have their union jobs anymore. Even if they don't get fired, even if they don't lose their pension, maybe they actually got to go to fucking work. You know, maybe they don't get to sit around and scratch their balls and fuck people over anymore. Maybe they don't get to fuck people over again. I don't know if this is true or not, but it's what I heard after the fact, and it made everything that happened make a lot more sense. But they said one of our union reps was selling people out because his brother got drunk and attacked somebody, and he needed to do it to keep him from getting fired. I don't know, but you know, hey, you know, maybe that stops.
Yes?
Why do you
And,
keep glancing over?
you know, because look what happens if you don't. This was a thing, and this happened. I found out about this when I was near the end, you know, right before I moved home. But you had people high up in the union that were like embezzling money. That the union had to pay a shitload of money back to, like, I don't know if it was Ford and or GM or one or the other. But there was all this money that they embezzled from some of their training programs. They were buying themselves like $1 million houses, and there was all this other shit. Well, a lot of those people at the UAW went to jail. You know, a lot of them went to jail, and it's like, my God, you know, I think what happened to me might be small time compared to that. As horrible as what happened to me, I'm like, when I found that, I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And so I don't know. I literally don't know, but you know, maybe something gets done. And again, I think I'm fucked either way, but you know, hey, maybe that stops for the next person. You know, I don't know. And but you didn't have that. Like back in the day, you'd have had no chance to get this out. And Bob Lazar fits into that category. This was a guy. Didn't have the internet, didn't have social media. You know, he could not, and he still hasn't, but he could not go out there and make a Twitter page. And he could not put up podcasts or anything else. He didn't have that ability. Same thing with, oh God, I mentioned their names. The couple. I apologize. Like I said, when I'm like this, I have trouble. I can't remember. It's the couple. Although Betty and Barney Hill. They
Not
they
enough
couldn't, you know,
spirits.
they could talk to some UFO groups, and I can't remember what they had. And even back then, I don't even think they had bulletin boards on the internet. Like, you know, well, before the internet, but I don't even think they had bulletin boards you could log into. But they were very limited on what they could do. Well, the thing when you look back now on Betty and Barney Hill, she had seen a map, according to her, on the spaceship. And she asked about it, and the apparently it was a map of regular star charts or star maps that they the aliens went to. And he wanted to know, he goes, well, do you, it was something along the lines of, well, do you know which planet is yours? And she goes, no. And he said, well, I don't think it'll do me any good to explain it to you when you don't even know where you are on the map. You know, like sometimes you, and if you watched Stargate Universe, they had a thing on Stargate Universe where a couple of the actors from it, and I think this is cool as shit. They were basically, both of them, I guess, had recently said something along the lines of, well, you know, the ship is still out there. They're still lost. And they both kind of expressed the view that they would really like somebody to pick it up and go rescue them. You know, do a movie, do a mini series, do another couple seasons, and at least take them out of limbo. You know, kind of end the story. And the way they were talking is, it sounded like if it wasn't for the writer's strike, maybe something would have happened in 2023. Because it sounds like most or all of the regular actors that were on it would be more than willing to come back and do anything to kind of give it like, kind of like what they did with, one of the things they were talking was kind of like what they did with Firefly and Serenity, where the TV show ended, and as soon as, can't think of the director's name, but the producer, the guy that was behind it, as soon as he got enough clout in Hollywood where he could just sort of tell people, hey, I would like to continue that story, and they let him do a movie where they could kind of end the story, they could kind of give it a definitive ending, which they did. And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
I don't have enough spirit.
I'll do the Cliff Notes version of it here. But what happened was, the main show, you had this guy, there was a civil war. It was kind of like the Civil War in space. Well, they fought a war and he lost. And there was a cargo ship, a smuggler ship, which he used, and it was called, I think the name of the ship was called Serenity, and it was a Firefly class ship. And he was basically out there because, and to me, it's kind of like these nut jobs that, I'm not saying he was, but it was kind of like these nut jobs after the Civil War, where, yeah, they lost, they didn't accept they lost, so he's out there basically breaking the law, you know, and you saw a little bit of that on January 6th. And what happened was, it was a motley crew. There was him, and I think I think he was a sergeant, but it was basically like the person right under him in the military. Gina Torres, I think, is the actress's name. Well, she was the one that was second in command for him. And she's kind of his XO on the ship. And then you got her husband. He's the guy that's doing that Resident Alien TV show, I think, on it either was or is on Sci-Fi Channel. He was the pilot and her husband. And she was the man in that relationship, and he didn't have a problem with it. He really loved her. And then you had kind of the NSA brute from the TV show Chuck. He was kind of like the brain dead mercenary, and he was on there. And then they had it's the one who Jules Satai or whatever. She was the doctor on Stargate Atlantis. She was the mechanic. She was the one that kept the ship flying. And then what they did was the very first episode, they picked up a doctor and his crazy sister. And what you find out is she had been experimented on by the government because she was telepathic, and they tried to turn her into a human weapon.
Don't let us die!
And he basically broke her out of the government facility where they had her hostage. He spent his fortune. When his parents died, he inherited the family fortune, and he basically pissed away every bit of it so he could get her free. That's love of a family. That's the kind of love in a family where you don't try and fucking steal from them when your parents die. That is really a beautiful type of love that you only see, I guess, inside of fucking fictional stories.
Thank you for saving me. I need to get out of here. Thank you for saving me.
That ability is not yet recharged. I must wait to use that ability.
So that's what they did. And then they had this preacher on there. He was a regular member, and he was kind of mysterious. And then they had, God, I can't remember what they called her. She was basically the escort or hooker or whatever. But companion might have been what it was. And it was a legalized and highly respectable form of prostitution. And it was good. It was good, and it was Deadpool's girlfriend. She was the one who played the companion. And hang on, I got 3 more of these things I gotta find, and they're hidden in the shadows. And then what happened was when they did the movie, they kind of showed you full circle. Because what happened was they always hinted that the preacher was kind of special, and I hope you see how in my mind, maybe even if it's not in reality, I hope you can see how in my mind all this links together. Because I really want to save the bulk of Bob Lazar, because I want to rewatch a couple more things before I really talk about it, because I'd like to get it as accurate as possible for you. And there we go, got another one. But you know, you had this guy that was a preacher. Well, he got injured, and it was
Your claws are revealed.
he got injured, and they went to like the government, the Alliance or whatever they were called, but they went to them. Well, they were gonna impound the ship and arrest everybody, and they let him know, well, hey, he needs help. Well, they ran his identicard, and it was an officer. I don't know that it was the captain, but it was somebody fairly high up in the command structure on the ship. Well, what happened was when he saw the identicard and he ran it through his scanner, the look on his face, and he goes, put all that stuff back, get him on the medical, get him on the ship, get him to medical. And I think they offered like food and other stuff to the ship. And then when it was said and done, they were gone. As soon as he was healthy, they dumped him back on the ship, and that was all she wrote. And then what they did is when they did the movie, he got killed. And they finally had and it was the guy, because they had sent people after that girl and her brother over and over and over again, and the captain had finally had enough of the brother and his stunts, because the brother did not want his sister. He provided medical services for the ship, and the captain of the ship, he came to the conclusion that, well, you know, hey, the sister was starting to act a little less crazy. And so what they were going to do was he was going to start seeing if she could help out. Because they figured out that she had mental abilities. And so he wanted to take her, and she didn't really have to do anything. All he wanted to do was have her there. And if, you know, mentally she started sensing there was danger, he just wanted to be warned. That's all he wanted. And the guy didn't like that with his sister and started telling the captain, you know, and the captain's like, look, I think I've had a talk with you about you telling me how things are going to run on my ship. He goes, now when we're done here, you can have your share of the loot. You can go wherever you want, but as long as you're a crew on this ship, I expect you to shut up and do what you're told. And, well, she got back okay, but they were in a little bit of danger. But if she hadn't have been there, they'd have probably died, because it wasn't just the trap she detected when they got there. She figured out what the fucking code was to get in. She detected some dangers. Well, there's these things called reavers, and what they are is they're kind of like chemical zombies or whatever. They're people that they cut on themselves and all this. They rape people. But they're like really aggressive space zombies. You know, she detected them when they were coming. She warned them. And it's the only reason they got away. Well, when they got back, you know, you had all that excitement. They got back on the ship, and her brother goes, "Are you okay?" And she looked, and she goes, "I swallowed a bug." And he started fucking yelling at the captain. He said, "Fine." He goes, I already told you what's going to happen." He goes, "When we get to our next destination, you and your sister are off. You can be on your little Mary, take your shit, and get the hell out of here." Well, what happened was when they got there, this is where this guy came after them. They sent a professional, somebody way more talented and persistent than what they had in the past. I think they might have sent one guy like this against them before, but they took him out. Well, this guy here, what he did was he sent a signal out, and as soon as she saw it, it activated her program. So she basically started attacking people. And what happened was it was I think his name was Jane. I think his name was Casey on Chuck, and then his name in this was Jane. Well, she ends up, she's like the 70-pound girl, 80-pound girl, and she kicked his ass. And you know, if you've seen him, he's a pretty big dude. And then, like, this is one of the funniest parts in the movie, is they're sitting there back on the ship, because her brother used a control word that put her to sleep. So, you know, he had to learn this because he needed this when he went to rescue her. Well, he used it to put her to sleep, and then when she woke up, she was okay again. But it was funny because they're sitting there talking afterwards, and
somebody made a comment, and the guy that's the pilot of the ship, he goes, yeah, you can tell us that, or you can tell us again how Jane got his ass kicked by a 70-pound girl, because that's just never gonna get old. And then when they found out that brother had that shut-off word, he was gonna tell him what it is, and Jane's like, don't say it. And then someone goes, Jane, it only works on her. He goes, well, I didn't know. He thought it was something that would make all of them go to sleep. And but the loop that they had, where they kind of, and this is what they kind of want to do with Stargate Universe, is what you find out is this guy that's hunting her, he doesn't have a name, he doesn't have a title, he doesn't have a rank. And it is basically an indication of somebody that has the government's authority to do whatever he wants. He showed up at that top secret facility where they were like programming that girl's brain, and he came across. He started going through, and the one guy goes, "Hey, what are you doing here? You can't be in here." He goes, I'm sorry. He goes, you were right to question me. He goes, I haven't shown you my credentials. And he showed him his credentials. Well, as soon as the guy saw it, he's like, oh, okay. Hang on. No, I'll keep what I got. But the guy, as soon as the guy shows him his credentials, he's like, oh, okay. And then what he looks through and he goes, do you know what your greatest sin is? And the guy goes, well, I don't know what, and he pulls out a samurai sword. He goes, your biggest sin is pride. He goes, because he found out from watching the videotapes, and it came out of the guy's own mouth, he had brought key members of the Alliance ruling class in front of that telepath. And she was escaped now. So there were untold secrets, some damaging, some private, that she might have because she was a telepath. And so he killed the guy. He had the authority to do it. He pretty much killed everybody there that knew what was going on. He was basically cutting down loose ends. And then he basically went after her, but that's where he found out how to turn on her programming and cause all these problems. And what you find out is the preacher was one of those. That's what he was back in the day. And what happens is at the end of it,
for a while now,
there is a secret that she had picked up. And as soon as Malcolm, the captain, as soon as he figured out what it was, he was willing to die to make sure it got out there. There was a planet called Miranda, and what the Alliance had done is they introduced a chemical into the air, and it was supposed to make people pass. It was basically supposed to prevent like the Civil War. I don't know if it was before or after the Civil War. But it was supposed to prevent people from rising up against it. It was supposed to make everybody passive, little pets. You know, the sheep that watch Fox News. It was supposed to make them just like that. And what it did is it's what created the Reavers. Nobody knew where the Reavers came from. Well, that chemical, some of the people that got the chemical, they just laid down and died. And this was something, the girl, the weapon, she goes, they refused to lay down. And some of the people that got infected with, or got exposed to this, I gotta go. The people that got infected with it, they became violent. They started cutting on themselves. They started raping people. And as they raped, cut, they infected these people and they created more of them. Some of them probably died, but the ones that were like them, or as this thing mutated, they created more of them. And it was just a thing. And they managed to, they weren't in good shape, but they managed to keep ships flying. and somebody made a comment, and it was like, you know, you kind of saw what he was like maybe during the
Your
war,
flaws are revealed.
where he let everybody know, hey, we're doing this, and somebody objected. He said, look, because I ain't gonna say this again. He pulled his gun out. I ain't gonna say this again. He goes, I'm only gonna give orders once, and anybody that doesn't want to follow it's either gonna get shot or this is their new home port.
Fight is over.
He goes, the simple fact is, he goes, we gotta expose this, because he said if we don't, it'll just be a matter of time before they think they can make people better again, and this will all happen again. And he goes, and you know, he's kind of hinting at the next Reaver they make, we might not survive, because the Reavers were doing a shitload of damage, and that's basically where it leads to. Well, then at the end, because that guy didn't know anything. You know, Mal was trying to talk to that secret guy, the one like the preacher, and he said, well, do you know what they did? He goes, no, secrets are not my concern, keeping them. And he goes, I envision that there's going to be a better world. And he goes, I won't be there. I'm a monster. He goes, it's not for me.
Endless tide.
Well, when he saw what had happened, because what they found was, and this was the secret that was in her head, and they finally found it. It was on the planet. They went to Miranda. They actually saw the Reavers being created. It was clear that that's what had happened.
Who's ready for
And
a challenge?
after it was all over, that guy helped them fix up their ship. And once their ship was 100% fixed, the captain told him, he goes, you understand, if I see you again, I'm just going to kill you. And he goes, you won't. And he said, I don't think you guys are wanted by the Alliance anymore, but I can't say for sure that they're done with you guys. He goes, I do know that I'm pretty sure they're aware that I'm not their guy anymore. And what they were showing you was he had turned into the preacher. He was just going to go live a quiet life, helping where he could, but being quiet and staying out of the way. That's what he was going to do.
Fell, his apprentice would take up his armor, his place in the order, and even his very name. When the first generation of Crusaders fell, their own apprentice...
Careful. They're summoning something.
We need his blood. Do not let them interfere.
I am returning to town.
And, you know, but that's what they kind of were saying. Well, maybe they could do something like that, and that would be a good model. And also even maybe, I don't know if they'd be able to pick up the show. They could maybe do special events like, you know, do like a handful of episodes every season when everybody else is no longer, because some of the people have regular shows like that Ming Na Wei. They could maybe get her to come back to do a cameo and then write her off, like either kill her off or maybe have them rescued from Earth and continuing the mission, or kill her off. But they cause she's like, God, she's in The Mandalorian, and I think there's another show she's on. She's in demand a little bit. She absolutely is. Okay, what I'm gonna do is, and again, I'm gonna.
You won't be disappointed.
Maybe I'll do one more. No, I don't want to go do these right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and end this. I'll talk for maybe a couple more minutes, but when I come back, as much as I can, I will kind of go over the Bob Lazar thing. The one thing I do want to say though is, again, the older UFO stories are a little different because you just couldn't get the stories out there as easily as you can today. But it also, the crazy didn't get out there. So like you go back to like Bob Lazar, he was picked up by a good journalist out there in the Las Vegas area, and like he's still to this day, even though he's done UFO stories, he has maintained his credibility. And he might be semi-retired now, I don't know, but for 20, 30 years, he was with the I-Team News, and it was an award-winning team of journalists up, and he did it, even though he was tainted by the UFO. So that shows you how credible he was. I would say he's a little more credible than the average guy, but when he first did the story, and if I remember it, I will try and go into it when I come back. But he did his due diligence to vet Bob Lazar. And here's the thing, if Bob Lazar had come off as crazy to him, if he hadn't been able to collaborate stuff, he would have never put him on the air. And Bob Lazar wouldn't have been a thing. And it was kind of the same thing with the, in my opinion, it was kind of the same thing with those, because Bob Lazar was in the mid to late 80s, I think. Because I think that came out either last year I was in high school or right after I graduated high school. Because that not only got airtime in Las Vegas, that thing went kind of national. And again, this was before they had 24-hour news. This was before they had internet. This was a big enough story that it got picked up almost nationwide by your different affiliates. And but no, there was this guy, and I can't think of his name, and I don't want to spend a lot of time because I want to keep Bob Lazar in my head. But he was working with a logging crew, and the aliens came down, and he went up to the ship. Well, they kidnapped him, and they took him, and they experimented on him. And I don't know, because when they made a movie on it, the movie's called Fire in the Sky. That was based on a real story. And that was another one. Back in the day, same thing with the Barney and Betty Hill. If these things had not been somewhat credible, they would have been forgotten. They wouldn't have been picked up because you didn't have the crazy stuff spreading back then like you do now, like the Jewish space lasers or whatever Hunter Biden's supposedly done, or the Benghazi, or all the other bullshit. The crazy just does not spread like it didn't spread back then like it does now. And so, these were like a little more real. Like that one guy. This was, I think some of this, when you look at the tape, it looked pretty old. This was a guy that sounded fucking crazy. So his little speech about, Dulce, New Mexico, the aliens attacked me and the special forces and they fucking cut my chest open. But that guy sounded fucking crazy. And again, I don't know. I think that's something we maybe need to take another look at. I might do a podcast on him, but there really ain't a whole lot on him, but I can at least talk about it. But that guy seemed absolutely batshit crazy. Well, that's why he didn't go anywhere. That's why you didn't really see that. That's why it wasn't a Bob Lazar, or it wasn't that guy out. God, I can't even remember what state it was, but that guy that got picked up while he was with his logging friends, or Betty and Barney Hill. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll take a break. I don't know how long it's going to be because I don't think I'm going to watch a long one, but I'm going to try and watch a couple small clips on Bob Lazar, and then I will come back as quick as I can. I had to plug the mic back in. If for some reason I get to where I'm not feeling good because I got to go to the bathroom, I will do it the next time I'm on, but I'm going to try and come back on and do Minecraft and go into that. Peace out, and I hope everybody has a good day, whether I see you again or not.